So let me go back to sharing the screen. So if we go to Edmodo, I think right after the Zoom meeting information, there's a post. It's called ArrayList Basics. There's a whole bunch of activities or exercises, something like that, that you have. We're going to work together between today and Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So we're going to work on this together. Most of the stuff. There are some things that you can, I think, after we get through, I don't know, maybe the first few, you'll see that you'll be able to handle the rest by yourself, but you're going to have some questions, which is fine. So I created a new project in the OOD folder, but I think you all have different organizations over there, so it doesn't really matter to me. It's up to you. Whatever you want to do with it is fine. Important thing is that you create a new project. I have it's a little bit noisy in the background, but it should quiet down very soon. I hope you can hear me well. If you don't hear me well, let me know. Or if you don't see anything that I show on the screen also. What you should be able to see on the screen is my browser and the BlueJ project. If you don't see it, let me know. There's also, if you don't want to talk, there is a chat option that you can just ask questions. I think I have to see it, I have to stop the screen if I'm not mistaken. The chat, yeah. Somebody's waiting, Katie. Okay, that's another thing that I wish they would give me some type of message saying that somebody is in the waiting room. Hi, Katie, how you doing?
Hi, how are you?
All right. I hope you were not waiting too long. Zoom, okay. Zoom doesn't let me know when somebody's waiting once I'm in the sharing the screen, so which is kind of silly. So Katie, I am recording this. If you don't want to talk, you can use the chat version over here at the bottom of the screen. And what I ask everybody is to actually have the browser open. And I also have, let me lower this a little bit. I also have the BlueJ project. I don't know if all of you have it installed in your computers, the BlueJ. I know Gabby does. George, I don't remember if you had your computer in school.
I have BlueJ on my computer.
Okay, perfect. Katie, do you have BlueJ in your computer or not?
Yeah, I do have it on my desktop.
Okay, perfect. So, so the first thing that we want to do is go to Edmodo, and right after the Zoom meeting information is the activity that we're going to be working between today and Thursday. So there are like, let's see, nine exercises. They're all short and disconnected, and it mostly is to learn about ArrayList, I'm sorry. I'm probably going to do together most of them, or at least some of them, and then you guys going to do the rest on your own. But if you have questions, I mean, we can do it. I think it can be done in 2 hours, but if you take longer, that's fine too. The first thing I did is I created a new project all by itself, and I call it ArrayList Basics. And you can put it in, if you have an organization in your folders, you can put it in the OOD folder, if not anywhere else that you know how to get it. And in the ArrayList, and I created a new class. You don't have to call it underscore P1. I'm doing that because I had to do this 2 more times. But ArrayList has underscore your initials will be the ideal. So I can actually I have all my downloads without overlapping and overwriting each other. Once you have that, let me check again. Nobody's waiting, and then we'll go back in here. Yeah, somebody's waiting. Okay, Amy is coming in. Hi, Amy. How you doing? There you go. Perfect. So again, like I said before, you can, if you don't want to talk, you can use the chat, and it's actually usually how when we have our big meetings, I just use the chat. I'm not much of a talker. So let me share the screen. And in here, I opened up the browser and I created a new project called ArrayList Basics. And I created a new class, ArrayList Test. Underscore your initial should be there instead of B1. And I'll show you what we're going to put in there. If you scroll down all the way to this assignment, you can click on this link over here. And once you created the project and you create a new class, and you click on this particular link, it should take you to what I want you to copy to that new class, which is just very, very minimal stuff that we're going to use. There's a lot to talk about at ArrayList, but we're going to start just with an introduction in which it presents the basic stuff. So I copied this and I pasted it onto my new class. So it should have the same thing I'd have. And let me check one more time while Amy gets caught up with everything. Nobody's waiting, so so Katie and Amy, I was telling George and Gabby that the problem with the screen sharing is that it doesn't let me know if anybody's waiting. Okay. You should be able to see the browser and the actual BlueJ project and the new class. If you don't see that, you have to let me know. So let's take a look at one important thing when we talk about ArrayList. Take a look on the top. After my very short documentation on the top against my own guidelines, I imported the ArrayList that Java already has built in for us to use. So it's import, and I think you know how to do this with the scanner class. In this case is also the util, and it's ArrayList. And all we have over here is just the main static method, nothing more than that. And then I have ArrayList, my list equals to new ArrayList. So ArrayList is actually a class. So anytime you need to use any methods or attributes, I mean, instance fields of a class, you have to create an object, right? And that's what we have over here, the new method, the new operator. The name of this object of ArrayList is called myList. When you compile, we should get a warning. So let's compile. And there's the warning. The warning says, blah, 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 uncheck or unsafe operations. So let me tell you a little bit about that. So ArrayList, the way you see it, is kind of it was kind of built at more or less at the same time Java compiler was created. It's kind of old, and it has to do a lot of work every time that you put objects in there. And actually it only takes objects with the uppercase O. So they're objects from the class object. So if you wanted to put something else, then you will have to do a lot of work from casting to, I don't know, a whole bunch of things, instance of, operator. So later on, I don't know, maybe 5, 6 years ago, or maybe more than that, they changed it to be more specific of what you're going to put in this array list. An array list, unless let me spend a little time talking about what array lists are. So you know about arrays, and maybe I've seen some students already using array list, by the way, which is fine, and I think many of us included like to learn by watching examples and other programs. So I'm not surprised if you already know about array lists, but I want to make it more formal, and I want to make sure that we cover all the little details that you should know about array lists. So one thing to know about array lists is that there's a difference between array lists and arrays. So one of the things that I would like to say is that array lists is dynamic. And we're going to put that in a minute in our notes. Let me just talk about it a little bit, and then we're going to start typing on the actual program itself. So the program is going to be your own documentation. So you know that when you create an array, you have to decide at the moment of you creating it, you have to decide how many elements you're going to put in the array. And that's static. It doesn't change the size. But array lists are a little bit more complex, interesting too, because it allows you to do other things that you couldn't do with the array. Arrays are very fast, but it has this problem caveat, which is the size doesn't change. And so if you have to make it bigger, well, you're stuck. You cannot make it bigger. So array list, you can change the size. You can add elements to it in indefinite amount of times. And it all depends on the size of your, your memory. So you can use up the whole memory, let's say, although that's very unlikely. But the point that what I'm saying is that many times you want to create more elements and then you're limited. So array list is very useful for that. At the same time, you can make it really small and save storage space, because maybe you doing, and sometimes you have a little bit, sometimes you have a lot. Let's say you have, I don't know, you have an application in which you have clients or customers, and one day it's only 10 customers, and other days you have 1,000 customers. So certainly the day that you have only 10 customers, you wasted a lot of storage space. So that is one of the main reasons why there is such a thing as array list. The disadvantages is that you have to do more typing. In the array, you have just an index. In an array list, you have to use methods, because now you have a class, and a class has methods. So if you want to add something to the array, a new element, you have to use the add method. If you want to get something out of the array, you have to use the get method. So it was, and that's why it makes it a little bit more work. But certainly, it's definitely much more dynamic, and you can do a lot more. So let's put that in our notes a little bit. So let me share again the screen. Let's start from the top over here, and that's the reason why, as you can see, is very bare. This is my suggestion: is go back to the actual post, if I can get, there you go. Wait, because this is in the way. There we go. So one of the things I always tell you is to actually copy the actual assignment, and also we'll make sure that we don't forget to do, wait, because this new end model makes it complicated. Okay, you can actually put where that this is coming from. So I'm going to take that and I'm going to put it on my documentation. So we also know all the parts that we have to have in here. Sometimes students like to put this as they go, as they make the actual exercises. So this is the first thing that we're going to do. I would like to fix that documentation a little bit because it was kind of there. Save it, compile. If I compile now, it should have the same problem. So why don't we fix that problem first? So about, like I said, 6-7 years ago, they made some changes to ArrayList. So instead of only taking objects, which is a pain in the neck because it gives you uncheck or unsafe, they made some changes to it. So we're going to comment this line. We're going to uncomment the one below. And so here's, if you look at this ArrayList, it has angle brackets, and inside the angle brackets has a parameter, and it's a type. That's why we call it type parameter or parameter type, but I think mostly it's called typed parameter. So the parameter over here has a type, it's an integer. That means that this ArrayList is going to take objects of integer. So it makes it definitely more efficient. Let me enlarge this to the left over here so you can see. So a lot of documentation is going to be in terms of comments. So it is more efficient. When an array list like this one over here on the top, you see, so it's always objects. You always have to check what it is in there, what kind of object. But here we tell it already what object, what type of object it is. It's an integer, so it doesn't have to check anything. So it's going to work more efficient. And eliminates that warning that certainly we don't want. So I would like you to make sure that you type these things in there because this program, this test class is going to be your own documentation. And I'm going to show you where to get more documentation about ArrayList. And it's just very, very large. And we're going to minimize what we need to know. Some of you are going to be taking the AP Computer Science. Katie, you're graduating, so I don't know what you're going to do in college. But if you do any type of work with Java, ArrayList is very popular, so it's good to know. Either an internship or a summer job, maybe writing some code. It is possible. I had students before had done that. So this is the latest version of ArrayList. If we compile now, we shouldn't get any warnings. The warnings went away because now it's safe. And mostly being safe makes it more efficient because the compiler doesn't have to go and check, well, what are you putting in here? So let's just go through this and then we're going to go through the documentation. Like I said before, how does it compare to an array? So the put over here, what I put over here is the most basic stuff that you would see that you can compare with an array. So to add an element of integer, I'm sorry, let me rephrase that. To add an object of integer to an array list, I would have to use the add method. So you can add it just simple like that, the object name, the name of the method, and then whatever it is in here. So as you can see, I first have to convert it from a built-in type 45, I had to make it into an object of integer. Now, there is something called Autoboxing. So let me see, so depending on the version of Java you have, it might do something called Autoboxing. Let's see if it lets me compile it. Yes. Okay, so this is called Autoboxing. So let's put that at Autoboxing. Autoboxing in this case is taking a built-in type to a wrapper class. It's called wrapper class. So you go from int So wait, you go from int to, hold on a minute, integer. So integer is what they call a wrapper class. So what it does, it wraps around the built-in type and it adds features. These features are called the methods. You can do a whole bunch of things. Remember also that in the integer class, there is something called, let's take int, let's try this one, and big int. And you can say integer, yeah, integer, I think it was max value. Let's see if it takes it. Yeah, it does. So max value is one of those attribute instance fields from the integer class. And as you can see, it's all uppercases because it's telling us that it's a constant, right? And it probably uses the final also specifier. Okay, so anytime you have any questions or anything, either I think I won't be able to see if you chat, so probably just caught my attention. So what are the methods that we want to know? The add method replaces the, in the array, the index operator, which is the square brackets with an index in there. So you have, that's the way you have to add it. And at this point, since you're not telling the location where to add it, it's actually put it at the end of whatever you already have there. So we had nothing, so it's an index or position 0. It's the first element. You can also remove it. Let's see. So here again is taking X and is changing it now to be, instead of 45 is 100. So we can also add it telling what position it is. So you put it at the beginning of the array list. So what happened to the one before? So let's take a look. We're going to see what happened to, let me add one more thing. So this one will tell us it's 100, but we also want to know if we put it at the beginning, does it overwrite whatever was there, or does it push it down to the next position in the array list? So we're going to put 1 over here. I'm avoiding to use the for loop. Of course, you can always put the for loop. And then it should tell you how many elements this array list has, because opposite to an array list changes size. And that's one of the good features about array lists. And then it does a whole bunch of things. So what we're going to do, let's see. Let's add and tell us at the end how many elements there are. I don't have any messages. I don't know why I did that. Let's put some messages on these print statements. Let's say what I have applications element. What is it? Actually I don't like it that way. Hold on. Let me change this a little bit. I say first element. Okay, there we go. That should be second element. And then we're going to call this size of the array list. Size of array list is, yeah. All right, there we go. And so we can put that also at the end. So we know what happened to everything. So we want to know what happens to the elements as you use only the add method, right? He is telling where to put it. This one is at the front, also the front. All right, so compile it. Let's see if we have any errors. No errors. And so I want to compile this. Let me put this over here so I can bring this up. Right click, main, and there we go. So we can compare to the code that we wrote over here. So originally the first element when we first started was in 45. And then when we added another one to the top, then it pushed down 45 to become the second one. So at that point, we only had 2 elements. So the size was only 2. And then as we added more, we added 1, 2, 3, 4 more, we ended up with 6. So yeah, it's doing pretty much what we want. How do we get, do we have a get method in here? No, we don't. So let's add to this a get element, a get method. So we're going to say, I'm going to say, hold on. I want to print it out. So I am going to go in here. And I'm going to say, getting, yeah. What do you want to get? Let's say element number 3. So we're going to say now my list, name, that's the name of the object. I'm going to use get. So what would be the actual value that we have? To get element 3, we have to put a number in here. What number should we put? 0, 1, 2. So we put a 2 here. So one more, close it. What should be the third element? Let's see. It should be the first one that we put over here, right? We have 0, 1, and 2. So it should be a 5. So let's run it again. Actually, let me clean this up a little bit. Did that compile? I don't remember. Where's my, oh, here it is. So let's go over here and let's run it and see what we got. Yep, 45. How did that happen? Did we add some? Oh, yeah. Because look, over here, the last one we added, it pushed it down once. So one more time. So 45 was pushed down twice. That's why the third element was not 5. Let's take a look at all the elements because you're going to need to know that. So we're going to write a for loop. For and I equals to 0. And now here, the size is actually, it's going to be size that we use now instead of length. Okay, was it size? I think it's just size. Right? And then plus, and then over here, since we're not doing anything else, I don't need to put curly braces. It's only one line of code that I'm going to put in the for loop. So I am going to print this. I'm going to change that a little bit though. I'm going to say getting element, and I'm going to put this over here, and I'm going to put I. So I'm going to put over here I. And I'm going to change getting. I'm going to say reading. Because we're not getting it out, we're just reading it. I don't know. Getting is fine too, by the way. And let me put it over here instead of 2, we put an I, right? Here we go. Compile it. There we go. Let's run it. Let me find my project. Yeah, there's my project. And let me clean up a little bit the output screen. And let's see what it has in there. Oh my goodness. Zoom gets in my way. There. So I print it out. There we go. Oh, I should have commented that. Okay. So what did I do? Oh, here it is. Started from 0, 1, 2, 3. I should have put some spacing here. So it's right here, reading element 0 is 3, 300, 45. So this is actually how we get all those values. What about if you wanted to replace a value? Then we have the set method. And now in a minute, we're going to go and look at documentation. So the set, so we're going to do, I'm going to put, hold on a minute. I need some lines separating this, otherwise it gets kind of crowded over there. Yeah, that will put 2 lines of code. All right, so let's, instead of just pushing down the next one, I want to replace the third element, which was a 45, right? We agreed to that. So let's say my list that set, and let's change it to 52. Yeah. Oh wait, I need to tell also where we're gonna do that. And I think we said that it was the third element, 3 comma. So the first one is the location or the index, if you want to call it. And what is it that we actually putting in there instead of the 45? So we compile it, make sure I didn't make any mistakes. That looks good. And then of course we can print this out again and see if that in fact that was replaced. So I'm gonna copy this. Let me know if I'm going too fast or if you have any questions. I don't need these comments. I mean, I'm sorry, these print statements. Kind of annoying. Actually, let me just do it the other way. If you go to edit, and says comment out, there you go. Do we have any other stuff? Yeah, we don't need this either. Actually, I do need it because I want to compare it to this one. We want to compare these two. But I don't need this one. There. All right, so, but actually, yeah, okay, that's good enough. All right, so I'm gonna compile it and I'm gonna run it. Let me clean this up a little bit. And let's do that. So we got over here, and let's take a look. Oh, I did something stupid, right? Nobody told me I was doing something stupid. Wait. Why it's not taking this? Hold on. Yeah.
Miss Ollie, I think you need backslash.
You know, I was thinking about it. Thank you, Katie. Katie, thank you. Is it backslash? Oh my God, I'm losing it. All right, that will make more sense because something was not working. All right. We clean it up again and compile it. And hopefully let's do that. Oh, there we go. Did I want that? No, I didn't want that. Now it's giving me too much information. Let me clean up again. I hate it. I need to fix that. I know how to fix this. I wasn't thinking through. So I'm just gonna do this. I just need two spaces, two blank lines, that's all. First one. And the next one. So we can tell the two different groups of, there you go. All right, let's see what happens now. If it is what I wanted to do in the, there you go. This is what I wanted to look at. All right, so here is element 3 is 45, 0, 1, 2, and 3 is 45. And then when we actually, where's the set? 3 is 52. Where's 52? Oh, I see. I should have put it too. So that was the index, not the third one. Oh, duh. This is Eliane. What's wrong with her? As you can see, things have no change. All right. This time should be the way I want it to be. Oh, there we go. So the third element has been changed to 52. That was the set method. And it hasn't changed the size of it. They didn't push it down. The next element is still 5. And the size of the array list so far, or the number of elements in the array list, is still 6. So we learned to add, the get, and the set. So what else is out there? So that's what I want to do now. We have about, what is that, 18 minutes? Let's do that. And we're going to add to it. What are the things that we have to do over here? And I realize the random. Okay, we're going to do most of these things next time. The introduction usually takes me a whole period. So to know more about ArrayList, we're going to go to the web browser. So let me just close this, although we're going to need it. Hold on. So down here, I want you to open one of those paragraph comments. You put it to it like that, and then it creates. That's nice. So here we're going to add all those methods that you should know about ArrayList. I'm not going to put it on the side so it doesn't bother me, but I'm going to put this down. I don't need it. And so I want you to open a new window. Oh, hold on a minute. I locked myself out. Okay, there we go. So open a new window without going into my corner. There we go. And now go to the top and start typing Java space ArrayList. I'm going to look for Oracle, or we can just type Oracle in here, whichever you like. I think we're running with 8, and even if you have 7, use ArrayList has not changed since 7.8. Probably hasn't changed for a little while. As any other of the classes that we've seen, the documentation on their, site, there's a lot of stuff in here. So what are the things that we want? Okay, there are 2 different kinds of constructors. So we're going to put that. And so you're going to copy and paste directly onto the actual document. So we're going to copy this here. And so we're going to go down here and we're going to say creating, although it says it over there, right? Constructors empty, right? So we don't need to do that. So right here we have construct an empty list. There's nothing in there. I mean, not just that. It has an initial capacity. So by default, there is an initial capacity, but that initial capacity doesn't show up in the method size. Size only tells you the elements that you've been putting into the array list. The other constructor is when you do want to tell it what is the size of the array list that you want. maybe the default is not what you want. So you're gonna put that in there, right here. I'll leave one space here. I usually tab, you don't have to, it's up to you. Make it look a little bit more visually appealing. This is the next one we're gonna see. So 2 constructors. So I'm gonna make another one. Yeah. 2 constructors. So we use the empty constructor. As you can see, we didn't put any values over here, but you can tell it what you want. It could be any value, and it's an integer. Int is an int. So what are the methods? There are lots of methods. Take a look at how many there are. Do we need to know all this? No, we don't. When I say know it, mostly some of these methods, you should know them, yes. If you take an AP class, we're probably going to start with this. They were a little review object oriented, a few little things here and there, and then we're going to try to use ArrayList and arrays. So the method add, that's the one that we've been using, returns a Boolean. The Boolean tells you if in fact, when you added an element to the array list, it was successful. So if it was, it will tell you that it's true if it's not a fail. So sometimes in many applications, they will do that. Let's copy this, and let's copy the return type also to here. And I'm gonna put it on a little bit below there. And it says append. Append meaning it adds to the end of the list. What else do we have over here? Yes, we want to add also to our documentation, the one that tells you where you want to add it, and everything else is get pushed down. So I'm going to put it on over here. There you go. So inserts the specified position in the list. One thing that we need to put in there, and that's always been a question students ask me, and it pushes all the other ones down. It pushes I don't know if that's, do I put it? I don't know. Is an E, does an E belong in there? Pushes, no idea. All other elements down the list. Array list can be also called list, by the way. You need more space. So let's see what else. I'm not going to worry about this one, neither this one. Removes all the elements. Sometimes it's useful to have it. I'm just going to put it there for information purposes. I don't think we ever run into a situation in which we needed to do that, but students sometimes ask me, how do I get rid of everything in there? What did I forget to copy? This list. This list. So this is our own documentation about the array base. So it's kind of simplified version of it. Never use the clone method, it's a pain in the neck. Contains, it's only optional if you want to, and never use it. Neither this one, no this one. Here's the get. The get is very important. We need the get. And it returns, the E represents an object of the type parameter that you create that list. Because if you look at this documentation, right, it uses already type parameters, right? It doesn't, because originally before this was part of the language, there were no angle brackets because it was by default objects. But now it tells you what type of element it's going to return. And actually that's a very good feature, because before you had to use an operator to make sure that it's returning the object that you were expecting. So here returns that particular element, type, sorry, that you created the list with. Why am I missing always the its part? There we go. What else do we need from here? Let's see. If you want to, you can put that one. This one is very important. You're going to use this one a lot because let's say you're running a while loop. And so it's true that you can use the size and it tells you where it ends. But sometimes you do things in which you say, well, for as long as something is there, I want to keep on doing this. Yes, definitely you can use the size and the size will do it. Maybe you can check if it's empty for a different reason. Let's say there were no customers today. Is it empty? Or you can check that the size is 0, of course. We're not going to look at an iterator, neither the last index of. All of these things, we're going to skip them. Remove is good. You want remove. You might, actually there is an exercise in which you're going to need to use remove. So I think the exercises I gave you are all related to the specific things that I really think that you should know. So this is removing by index. So you say index number, and that's not the location. You learned that from the mistake I made, that when I put a 3, it was looking for 3 instead of the 3rd position, right? So let's put that in here. So many times we just want to do that. And I think I'm giving you one exercise in which you will have to. I think it's the 10th one, after you created a list of random numbers. But sometimes in a list, in an array list, you might want to say, well, you know what? I want to remove all the elements with the number. In this case, we're working with integers, right? So I'm trying to make it as less problematic as possible. All the numbers, all the entries with number 55, I say. So then it means that that's the object, right? So we need a remove method that can remove objects, and here it is. Now pay attention. I want you to look at the argument of that remove. Will I get problems? Because it's taking objects, it's not taking a type parameter. I know you don't want to talk, but if you were going to talk, I think I know what you would say. Well, integers should be also an object with uppercase O. So it should not be any problems. So an integer is an object, uppercase object. A string is an object because objects are, as they call it, some authors, cosmic class, the parent class. That's where everything was created and everything else comes from that. What else is in here? Because we have 7 minutes left, and I wanted to make sure that I cover the minimum today. As you can see, there's a lot of other stuff. You can always come back over here and pick more stuff. In most classes, there are some testing associated in the AP class. In this class, what is it? We had 2 tests, maybe. I don't even remember if I had a second one. But in the AP class, the format is different. There's a lot of assessments, 1 per chapter. We have a total of 7 chapters, I think. And one of them, I skip the assessment and we do a project, or 2 of them, something like that. Here's the size that we already tested. Is there anything else that I wanted to get from here? Some students like this one a lot. This one, which you change it to an array of objects. I'm not going to put it as part of it because you can use it, of course. You can use anything that's in here for anything. But these are the things that I want you to know. So how many did we put over here? It should be about 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yeah, because I put extras. I think I'm missing 1 or 2. So when we meet again, I'm going to make sure that we have those that maybe I had missed. not recall if I put the array. So some students become kind of creative with shortcuts. And so they look for more methods from here. So technically, let's save this, right? Make sure they compile, that we didn't screw anything up, or I didn't screw up anything up. So this is all your documentation for the different assignments, exercises that I had put over here. But I'm going to check that you do have everything available for Thursday. Now, I'm going to stop sharing the screen so to see if you all have any questions or if there is anything in the chat. There's nothing on the chat. Do any of you have any questions? No questions? So what do you think about ArrayList? What would be, what's the beauty of ArrayList compared to arrays? And what's the thing that you don't like about ArrayList that you like about arrays? No comments, not even in the chat.
I think the fact that it's like resizable is pretty cool.
Yes.
Because with normal arrays, it's a lot less flexible in that way.
That's right. Yeah, that's the beauty of ArrayList. Definitely. Yeah, I think it's very popular. ArrayLists are very popular for that, and because as a collection, as they call it, it's easy to use, and because there are a lot of other collections, by the way. And you need to know more. If you had taken Python last year, you'd remember dictionaries, right? And dictionaries, it was a little more work than lists. So ArrayLists are easy. And in Java, you have hash tables, hash lists. There's a whole bunch of things. It requires a little bit more understanding of it. So that is definitely the two things that I like about ArrayList. It's sizable and it's simple to use. It's not that complicated. It's more typing, yes. Besides the typing, do you see anything that is less interesting than arrays? No? Yeah. I think the typing is the only thing. Everything else is kind of very intuitive. One more thing that adds a beauty to the arrays, and we only have 3 minutes left, is ArrayList, is the fact that there are a lot of methods that allows you to do a lot of things. You can remove, you can find the location of it. You don't have to do a for loop traversing the whole array to find out where an element is. So, and as you can see, it's a lot of stuff in there available. So I'm done for today. I hope I didn't overload you. I hope I gave you good information to get started on Thursday with the exercises. And we're probably going to be adding a few more things in there, but nothing more than that. And I hope you're all doing well. I am very excited to see your names and hear your voices. And I hope to see you again on Thursday. Okay? See you. Bye. 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 Oh, I see that. Excellent.